What's going on, YouTube? You're back with Shades, and we're continuing our Let's Play of SC2VN, the StarCraft visual novel. Well, last time we left off, what did we do last time? Actually, oh crap. What did we do last time? I think we just got the team together. I don't remember exactly. It's been a while. But anyway, hold on. Crap, I can't scroll up. My thing's broken. Yes. Hold on. Load. Auto. Wait, what? Alright, guys, I'm in the same part. Don't worry about it. It's been so long since I forget where we actually left off on, but we are on the right part. So anyway, lately the streets have seemed so foreign or confusing. It might just be because I stick to the same route every time I walk to Golden Zone Fire, but I like to think I've really started to figure out a life as a foreigner. I've settled into a routine that works for me. A few hours of ladder in the morning, then I hang out at the cafe with whoever shows up that day. Practice, talk strategy, maybe grab some food, and then we go our separate ways. It's enough to satisfy me while still offering plenty of free time to keep it from burning out. It's not a champion's regimen, but it should suffice, hopefully. Jed is always pushing me out to practice longer, but it's hard to see the point. What's 10 hours going to do for me that 6 hours doesn't? I haven't seen that bold guy at Golden Zone Fire since I challenged him, luckily. I was anxious about the possibility of running into him again. A confrontation when I'm supposed to be training is the last thing I need. Familiar landmarks crop up one by one. It's not long before the cafe comes into view, busy as it always is on the weekends. I squeeze in past a half dozen middle schoolers and make my way to our quiet corner. Yo, what took you? We've been waiting on you for so long. Don't listen to him. He just got here before you did. Stunt scowls and sinks down into his chair. I try not to smile. Rave is a no-show again? Messaged me this morning that she wanted to stay in ladder. Is Accel coming? I know Crash has team league tonight. Nope, he mentioned that he has some last-minute build prep to take care of. Who are they playing again? Kane, I think. Right. There are a lot of advantages for a player on a team. Recognition, housing, practice, salary, but getting to play in Team League is one of the biggest perks, period. A lot of young StarCraft talent breaks out into VSTL matches against top players are usually rare for those who aren't qualified for VSL, but not in Team League. For an amateur, a win there is more than a sign of good things to come. Did Accel tell you anything about his team's plan? Jet shakes her head before successfully snatching Stunt's phone out of his hand. She rolls it in the space between her fingers and turns it back to me. Don't be so naive, Mock. Accel and I may be friends, but that sort of information isn't something you can give away freely. Stunt gropes for his phone, a pout set across his face. Jet dodges a few times before willingly relinquishing the device. Stop ignoring us, it's rude. Whatever, you quit lecturing Mock. Their eyes battle briefly before Jet concedes, glancing away with a dismissive gesture. Stunt savors his fleeting victory with a grin before dropping the phone on the table. It's rare to find someone willing to share their strategies openly. Maybe it's different in the foreign scene, but not here. I lost to an amazing one base all in build on ladder a week back. Sent the guy a message asking for a few replays. He told me to kill myself. You don't need to look so pleased about it, sheesh. However, there's one exception. Whoops, that was Jet, my bad. That being, if a foreigner eliminates a Korean player, our scene will sometimes band together and send replays for his next opponent to study. It's a matter of national pride at that point. It's been that way since the Brood War. What the hell? Is that sweat on her face? Jesus. That's a rumor I've heard before. Replays can be invaluable in preparing for a specific player. What could be more useful than an exact recording of someone's strategies and tactics? At least Jet has the courtesy to look vaguely apologetic. I nod, doing my best not to look too surprised. How much do Korean players practice for Team League? The same as individual leagues, or...? Depends. Not less if they're taking home at least top 8s in Solo League. StarCraft may be one-on-one game, but teams can always be sponsored on the backs of individuals. Don't think that gives you the right to neglect your Solo League. Admittedly, VSTL is secondary to VSL. If any of you fail to qualify, I'll make you a slave of my practice house. Cool your jets, and have a little confidence in us. Oh god, gas. When you inspire confidence, I will. Remind me again how you placed in the last qualifier? Stunt wrinkles his nose and takes the opportunity to return to his cell phone game. Even between teammates, StarCraft's competitive nature thrives. Silence lingers until I decide to speak up, if only to break the tension. Why don't we go watch Accel play tonight? I'm sure I'll appreciate the support. They simultaneously glance up at me, then at each other. More silence. I'm just about ready to give up when Jet speaks. That's a good idea. I've been meaning to speak with Accel anyway. Sounds like fun. Let's bet on the games, though. Gambling? I shouldn't be surprised. You play Protoss after all. 25,000 on Crash. Ha! I'll take that bet any day. Wait, I'm not done. 25,001 on Crash, but if Accel all kills, you pay double. Stunt pauses, chewing over the odds with a contoured look on his face. All kills are incredibly rare. It's hard enough for one player to single-handedly defeat more than one opponent, let alone an entire team. With his decision made, Stunt slams a fist down hard enough to draw a few glances from a nearby table. Deal! The match won't be for another few hours, so you have plenty of time to regret your mistake while I'm kicking your ass. I want to try out this new build making the rounds called the 2 Base Immortal All-In. It crushes Zerg, or they're saying on the forums. Let's go. Hey Mock, come watch and learn a thing or two about how PvZ like a pro. Protoss versus Zerg? Okay. That's useless. Oh god. He doesn't wait for me to let me finish my thought before bolting for an open PC. I'm left with Jet, who takes her time in joining Stunt. He's funny. Funny doesn't win games. Not wrong, but still. Jet seems conspicuously pensive as she rises to head over to a machine. Just as she turns to leave, she stops and looks back at me, just adjusting my mic. Mock, do you think that teammates have to be friends? What do you mean? The question is straightforward, yes or no. Do teammates need to be friends? Not technically, but because personally, I would say yes, because you're going to be working together, so you have to enjoy each other's presence and be able to work off each other. But if you're not friends, you can still technically work off each other. It's just going to be a little bit more aggressive. But I say yes. What? Of course they should. Why wouldn't you be friends with the people you live and practice with? It's not that simple. What are you supposed to do if your teammate can't perform and needs to be replaced? What if your friendship keeps you from offering honest criticism and the type that hurts to hear? Personally, if you're actually friends, criticism is criticism. You should be able to say it to your friends and say what's wrong with them. Nobody's expecting to be friends with their coworkers at an office job. You act cordial and work together to get something done. That's it. There's no reason that esports should be any different. It's not the same. Can you honestly say that you'd be as motivated to turn around a losing set for a bunch of strangers than your friends? You're not being realistic. In any case, you did well to recruit Stunt and Reva. I appreciate it. I'll take care of the rest. Be around Golden Zone every single day for next week or so, and practice. Practice a lot. She answers my nod by taking off in Stunt's direction. I want to be friends. Friends are cool. Hang on, guys. I need to lower my encoding, apparently. Which is weird, because I'm only running at 3000. Let's see if that works. But it only happens during transition scenes, so I should be fine. This is the first time I've been back at the VSL studio since the qualifier. Reva is not the only one who feels out of place. I'm just about to send her another text when I catch the top of her head coming up the stairs. Get lost in the subway again? My apologies. This is my first time at the VSL studio. Oh, really? You've never tried to qualify or come to spectate? She shakes her head. That's a huge surprise, considering she's local. It's easy to follow the VSL online, but nothing beats the live experience. Watching the round of 4 in person was one of the first things I did here in Seoul. Jet and Stun are probably waiting for us. Come on. I just realized I don't even try to voice act for this game. It's hard because like with the 3 like female characters I've come into contact with, like it's hard to do girls. It's so hard. Nearly every seat in the spectator area of the VSL studio is taken. It's only with a wave from Jet and Reva that Reva and I are ushered past the back rows and into our seats on the side. Stunt is seated beside Jet and acknowledges. Fuck. Stupid damn yawn. The Stunt is seated beside Jet and acknowledges us with a smile. With how differently the 4 of us are dressed, it'd be hard for anyone to tell that we're actually a team. Well, I guess technically we're not a team yet, not officially anyway. With that thought on my mind, I look to Jet and keep my voice low. Do we have a uniform planned? Oh, hell yeah, I want a team jacket. The uniform we pick out comes from the team's war chest. It's stupid for us to splurge when we don't have any results. Stunt's lounging stare doesn't fade away until Jet focuses a glare in his direction. The production crew is busy at work behind the scenes. There are way more VSL staff members than the stream lets on. People with clipboards and headsets pace the studio frantically, moving from team benches to behind booths, then back again. Accel sits on the end of the bench with the rest of Crash. Their coach, a balding man with small eyes, red nose, and a clip-on tie, paces back and forth with his hands in his pockets of his blazer. Most coaches are usually retired players or have management experience. This guy has either got the latter or nothing. It wouldn't surprise me to learn that he's never played a game of StarCraft in his life. The players of Team Kane sit on the opposite side of the studio. Their coach is far more subdued and one that I actually recognize. An old B-tier Brood War pro that aged out of his ability to compete. Stunt leads... Whoa! Stunt leans over to Jet to whisper something. Before he can open his mouth, the Victory Star League's theme cuts into... announce that the broadcast is about to get started. Jesus Christ, that's loud! Korean Star Leagues have weird infestation with alt-rock. The same songs from my embarrassing freshman year play blast unabashedly to stadiums of esports fans. This is legitimately loud. Holy hell, it's distracting me. Lower. Thank you. The crowd's cheers die down only once the commenters give their introductions. When I look over my shoulder, I can see the table where they keep the two English casters. Oh, I clicked out right. There's no way for me to hear them without getting a headpiece that'll make me look like a tourist. I'll have to settle for the Korean commenters. Welcome to the VSTL! Today's first match is an exciting duel between Crash and Kane. Both very solid teams that have been around from the very beginning of StarCraft 2. I'm eager to see whether or not they show us good games. This is the furthest that Kane has been since the beginning of StarCraft 2 Team League. Crash will need to make the VSTL finals if they wish to share their accomplishment. Indeed, they have a challenging path ahead of them, but I am certain that they're capable of returning to their former glory. My thoughts are the same. Only one of the Kane's players remains in the VSL, so they have had plenty of time to practice for this match. Can the same be said for Crash? Certainly so. Crash's lineup is well tested and proven in the VSL. It's a sure bet they have not neglected to prepare accordingly. Well, there won't be any jokes about cartoons from the 90s, but I should stay pretty well informed throughout the series. An array of multicolored overhead lights announced the first match. Polished motion graphics and meticulously collected player statistics whiz around the display at the front of the studio. The VSL studio really has hype building down to a science. Who do you think Crash will send out first, Jet? Not Accel, unless they want him getting sniped off the bat. I nod. A common strategy in Team League is to have their mid-tier player spend all of his practice time preparing specifically for one heavy hitter. The other things to take into account too, like the map or the remaining opponents, but there's no doubt that Team Kane is one of their players ready to take down Accel. By the time I glance up at the stage, the first two players are heading to the booths. Accel remains on the bench, eyes set on the same screen as the crowd. It is starting. Sure enough, once the players have their settings prepared and coaches give the go-ahead, the match begins. Spawning at the 7 o'clock position for Team Crash is the blue Protoss player, Jangle. His opponent from Team Kane is at the 2 o'clock base is Shing. Protoss v Protoss. Close positions, the match won't last long. Mirror matchups are so stupid, PvP most of all. You don't know the intricacies, it can sometimes be really intense. Liberally, every strategy is coin flip. PvP should be considered gambling and made illegal. PvP usually ends with both players on one base. The decision to expand is often too great of a risk, especially with the players as close they are. More so than in any other matchup, mind games are essential to securing an advantage. Reach too far with aggression against a balanced strategy, you lose. Go middle of the road against a tech build, you lose. Tech up against an attack, you lose. Jangle and Shing both have opted for a 4 warp gate strategy. Prepare to watch those two clash, it'll all come down to their control. Or that can happen too. Even with Jet grumbling, Stunt looks like he's enjoying himself. After all, this is the type of game he loves. Rave is paying attention, though likely only to note the inefficiencies of Crash and Kane. Both of the Protoss players complete the buildings necessary for their attack simultaneously, but it's the Team Crash player who's on the map first. A proxy pylon near Kane's playbase will allow for quick frontline reinforcement, but things would be going perfect for Crash if not for one small problem. The attack was spotted. Rather than answer with his own attack, the Kane player is holding his units back at home. He's hiding half of them in a small corner of his base. I realize what's happening just as the Crash player makes his move. With the proper intel on his opponent, he feints a motion at his opponent's ramp in the hopes of learning what he's up against. But the Kane player doesn't even budge. No force field, no panic chrono boost, nothing. No defense at all. After a moment of hesitation, the Crash player charges up the ramp fully, confident that he's caught his opponent in a moment of weakness. For a moment, it looks like that was the right move. He heads forward to disable the Kane infrastructure. And as exit cutoff, the Kane player reveals his hidden units and surges into Crash force. Even though the battle begins with 2 at an even unit count, the force field preventing the Crash player retreat also keeps his reinforcements from joining the main army. I'm guessing he lost this one. Despite some excellent unit control, the dwindling Crash army is devoured by an ambush. Jango taps out a GG and the first game goes to Kane. An exceptional trap set up by Xing. The key was the position of his 3 extra gateways. He allowed the Crash player to set sight on the single gateway, which led him to believe there was hidden tech at the back of his base. Excellent tactical thinking. Indeed, it would have been too risky to find out what certainty was coming next. He had to act. He should have cleared the path to his opponent's base before showing his units. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. That could not have been more stupid. This is what happens in a matchup when scouting past 3-minute mark is impossible. Kane is fortunate that Jango hesitated. Had he disabled the forward gateway in time, Crash would have been victorious. I aim my attention back at the Crash bench to see who they're sending out next. Accel turns back and whispers to one of his teammates, and he starts heading for the booth. Finally, some ZVP. Better hope that Xing's all-ins aren't as pitiful as your stunt. 2 minutes later, and Crash Zerg stands cross-map with the Kane player. Oh, I thought PvP was like player versus player. I'm like, what? Okay, so it's Protoss versus Zerg this time. The match opens off slowly, but a sudden greedy opening from Kane Protoss elicits a call for attention from the commenters. Yeah, how bold! The map does not lend itself to Nexus first, yet he planted one down without pause. And it seems that it will be going unpunished. With one victory already, it seems that Kane decided now that it was an appropriate time to take a risk. Sorry guys, might cut out again. This spells bad news for Crash. With the Protoss economy established so quickly, Zerg will struggle to survive his powerful mid-game attack. The commenter's warning shows itself to be a well-informed one. The Crash player realizes his disadvantaged position too late. From inside the booth, he looks visibly shaken. Xing marches across the map at the 8-minute mark with an absurd number of blink stalkers. Not bothering to clear the watchtower on his way over, his unscouted forward pylon allows him to power forward unchecked. The Crash Zerg clumsy defense is pitiful to watch. The game was decided by the 2-minute mark, even if it took the Protoss another 7 to play it out. That was embarrassing. Not my preferred all-in style, but I'll admit it has its merits. A sudden realization that 3 out of 4 players are on camera put our conversation on pause. The VSL loves to show foreigners and girls in the breaks between games on stream for whatever reason. Oh. Reva shields her face and glances away while I wave and watch myself on screen with an undeniable awkward expression. The cameraman makes the mistake of panning past us to focus solely on Jet. Not a second later, the scene switches back to the casters. What kind of idiot doesn't drone scout? He went pool first. It was an easy slowling rally for the win. The map lends itself to typical Zerg playstyle. He mistakenly believed that if he could defend an early rush from Protoss, he would have an advantage against going in the mid-game. I can already taste extra large oh my god, bibimbap. I can already taste extra large bibimbap. I'll take cash, Jet. Quiet. 0 to 2 isn't impossible to come back from. But Jet's confidence falters a minute into the third game. The Kane Protoss immediately sends a probe cross-map intended on deciding the game with an early rush. Scout around your neutral, moron! It takes 2 seconds! And as if someone heard the order through his booth, soundproof foam, the Crash Zerg catches sight of a proxy gateway as they finish construction. A moment later and the game would have been decided. How will the Zerg react? He responds by throwing down static defense in his main, a good option, since a pair of stationary spine crawlers are too strong to contest with just a few zealots. The hatchery finishes despite the Protoss' efforts to force a cancel. Looks like Crash isn't going to stabilize here, or would if not for... No! What are you doing? Stop! Jet takes 2 fistfuls of her own hair when Zerg uproots the spine crawler and begins moving it down ramp. The Protoss reaction is instant. The Kane player rushes in to take a fight with the remaining static defense. Even with a handful of Zerglings and Queen aiding, the spine crawler falls with only a single casualty for the Protoss. An unmistakable blunder. He aimed to defend his natural expansion with a second spine crawler, but failed to wait until he had enough Zerglings. Such impatience is going to cost Crash the game and perhaps the series. With a free pickoff, it's not long until the Kane player snowballs his lead into a victory. One of his teammates charges into the booth, claps his back a dozen times, both of them smiling through some banter. It's a stark difference from the Crash bench, who all save Accel look ready to accept defeat. With a calm look back at his coach and a nod, he rises to replace his fallen teammate. It seems that Crash will send Accel as their final player. Will he be able to prevent the all-kill from Xing? We must take into account Kane's morale. The momentum in the series is clearly favorable as a 4th and final victory. Accel, do not lose. A few people seated in front of Jet wince at the volume of her cheer, turn around, stare, and then realize they were about to shush a VSL champion. By the time she's finished signing a phone case from one of them, Accel is in the booth and ready to go. Think you can bring it back, Reva? No single player on Kane can match Accel. I find myself in agreement with that, but Reva's specific wording and the lack of conclusion leaves me wondering. What could be the final match of the day begins now. Accel against Shing, who will emerge victorious. Oh, I'm guessing it's round robin, because like Shing hasn't gone off the booth yet, so I'm guessing it's not round robin. What's it called? King of the Hill? I don't know. I don't know the match setup. There's a term for it, but I don't remember. Accel looks at his home in the booth. He shows us, the four of us, a smile and thumbs up just before the game loads in. Despite the dire position his team is in, Accel wastes no time fighting back for control of the series. He deflects the Kane player's pressure as well as a positioned Marine force on top of his ramp, killing off a zealot and scaring away a stalker. A vital maneuver, the Protoss now lacks the information on whether or not Accel is expanding. How will he cover his options? Excel's cloaked Banshee is nearly complete. The Kane player hesitates. A second later, throws down an expansion. Chet heaves a sigh of relief, confident in the game is decided. Classic Protoss move. Don't think, guess. It's true if Accel had been expanding, the Kane player would have earned a slight edge. Instead, he's forced to watch helplessly as Accel Banshees fly straight to his base and blast his worker line to pieces. With a highly delayed and evidently begrudged GG from Kane, Accel puts Crash on the board. Ha! Salty and he didn't get his all kill. Ooh, salty. I love that phrase. Why did the Protoss leave so early? He could have at least gone in for a base trade or something. Are you kidding? Terrans have base trades figured out for almost a year now. God, I wish my gateways could fly. I guess, but there's no reason to throw in the towel so early. Even if he was going to lose, he could at least try to wear Accel out for a few games to come. Accel could easily bring this back. But even with his team's first loss, the Kane coach looked confident. He whistles for one of his youngest players, speaks to him for almost an entire minute, and then sends him to the booth. Ah, the Kane coach sends his amateur Terran to face Accel? He must have confidence in either his young talent or remaining two players. We must assume that he wants to give the young Terran some experience. Certainly, there's no other reason to send him against a strong contender as Accel. Reva watches Kane coach impassively, never allowing her attention to leave him until the 5th game loads in. Yeah! Kane opens with a command center first. It seems the Kane team has a strong preference to set the pace of the game and force their opponents to react. How will Accel respond? Accel's gonna scout and throw it in his own CC. What else? He'll out-macro this kid anyway. Reva answers with a nod, though not in a way that makes her seem particularly pleased. As predicted, Accel's thorough scout discovers Kane command center early enough to stay in an economy-focused game. Even with the amateurs Terran's slight advantage, Accel claws his way back to even footing and then claims the lead when he can catch a drop en route to his base. The Crash fans roar for a cheer when Accel charges his opponent's tank line in a way reminiscent of old Brood War mech battles. Old habits die hard. Even with the game all but decided, the Kane Terran remains until Accel moves forward to destroy his base. Just before offering his GG, the Kane amateur scans to reveal all of Accel's structures. As I thought. I wince as Jet belts out an ear-shattering cheer and then turns to Reva. What do you mean? Kane will send their Terran ace. Not such a hard guess, really. But even with the previously confident Jet watching Kane's bench now, sure enough their team ace pulls himself to his feet, peels off his team jacket, and tosses it to a squealing fangirl. Ew! Did she just sniff it? I'm gonna pretend I didn't see that. The Crash coach paces back and forth with his hands behind his back. His bench looks far more invested in the series than they do 2 games ago. What a treat! The highest level of Terran versus Terran is about to unfold before us. I'm excited to see how Accel measures up. His TVT has always been the strongest matchup. Jet and Reva watch restlessly as the game loads up. Even Stun has stopped cheering against Crash. Kane will go to command center first. If Accel does not two racks, he'll be at a disadvantage. I'm not sure if I'm saying the game terms right. Are you from the future or something? What's these super specific predictions? Shut up. Watch. Accel opens with standard play and repeats the scout from his opponent's CC first at a timing near identical to last game. Feigned bunker aggression provokes brief panic in the Kane ace, forcing him to pull a handful of SCVs to contest what could be a direct counter to his build. A good move, but it will not be enough. When the fake rush ends, Kane player throws his head back, heaves a sigh of relief, and smiles. He begins teching aggressively, a dangerous option without scouting Accel. Could you please explain what's going on? Why do you know what's happening before it happens? The Kane ace using the amateur to bait out Accel's response to CC first. This isn't something that would be possible if they weren't ahead by so many games. They sent their best player to face Accel with full knowledge of his reaction, but Accel can adapt on the fly, right? Easier said than done. Sure enough, Accel's answer is the exact same as it was amateur before. Improvising is a rare skill for StarCraft players, even for someone as skilled and well-rounded as Accel. The Kane player will build 2 starports behind his natural to avoid Accel's typical scan patterns. He will then clear out Accel's map vision with Hellions and then camp Accel's production with Banshees and Vikings. This isn't over. Accel will scout the gas timings and might realize that something is off. But the strategy proves to be too specific for Accel to cover without scouting directly. The missile turret in his worker line will protect his production structures. Accel's scan misses the mark by mere pixels. There's no chance to be prepared in time. At the center of the map clear, the Kane Terran flies straight for Accel's base. Oops. I skipped that, but I can't look back now. The Vikings keep Accel's inferior air force at bay, while the Banshees pound Accel's structure and tanks without answer. In an attempt to establish a missile turret defense costs Accel a ton of workers. When he eventually stabilizes, his army is less than half the size of Kane's aces. The game is over, yet Accel remains until the bitter end, trading as cost efficiently with his inferior force as he can. It's only once that Kane dances his units back and forth that Accel finally taps out. A cheer from the Aces fans announced the conclusion of the series, 4-2 Kane. Luckily, Stunt has the sense not to gloat about the money that he just won from Jet. The 4 of us sit in silence as we watch Accel agonize over his loss. While Kane is huddled together with smiles and cheers, all of Crash sit with their heads down, save Accel, who still hasn't left the booth. His coach looks furious. He barges into the booth back door and raves at Accel from behind his back. I can't believe what I'm seeing. Frustration one thing, but Accel won 2 games before he went out. Even if he had gone down without a win, there's no reason to yell at him. How is that supposed to help? Just as my anger on Accel's behalf reaches the point I think to say something to Jet, Accel rises from his seat, slides past his coach without so much as a glance in his direction. Should we go talk to him? Yeah, come on. The 3 Korean commentators are in the middle of winding down the series with post-match analysis when we rise and exit through studio's back door. We find Accel standing alone with his palm to his forehead. When he catches our footsteps, Accel turns to regard us all with his typical grin. I'm actually going to end the part here. It's been 30 minutes already, and I do have more things to record for today. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am. I do tend to get caught up in the story and then just forget about my timer. And my timer is about almost down. So anyway, I will see you guys next week. I hope you guys are enjoying this one. I know I'm fucking up my outro now, but I don't know. I just want to keep getting on with the game, so I'm just saying whatever's in my head. So I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.